Hey guys, welcome back to This Is Lame. I've been playing a little game called Baldurs Gate 3, and I really want to talk about it because I feel like that's all the internet's been talking about. And I want to give my first impressions. So I'm about 50 hours in. This is kind of the impressions for a casual gamer. I'm not heaps, I'm not someone who's going to spend hours, hundreds of hours on games, but this has been the exception. So if you live under a rock and you don't know what Baldurs Gate 3 is, it's a CRPG, it's a computer role-playing game for all you losers that don't know what that is. It's based on Dungeons and Dragons. I believe the game rules are strongly skewed from the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, like I said before, I'm about 50 hours in, and at the time of recording I'm about probably the first 5 hours of Act 2. If you want to go into this game completely spoiler-free, I probably wouldn't watch this video just yet, because it's going to be as spoiler-free from possible. But if you even don't know, you don't want to know what destinations you're going to be going to or anything like that, I would probably clock on here maybe a little bit later if you want to know my thoughts for some reason. You can travel to Act 2 quite early in the game, but you'll be super underleveled, and you probably won't have any fun because you'll get absolutely slaughtered. Yeah, so I've delved into one of Larian Studios' Game to 4. Larian Studios is the development team that made Baldurs Gate 3. So I played Divinity Original Sin 2 with a mate back in the day, and we played together. I just dropped off of it because it's just hard to find time to play games together. And yeah, but I really liked it. I like what I played. I reckon I played about 15-20 hours, but I think I wasn't that into it. But I've always loved the idea of what Larian does with their games, and it's not like anything else out there, pretty much. And with the help of my beautiful gaming PC and the glowing reviews of the game, I thought I have to try out Baldurs Gate 3. I just have to. So obviously the start was character creation. Spent about 3 hours in there. I wanted to get it right, but the great thing for the game, it just currently got an update where you can pretty much customize your entire character besides its race. Pretty freaking great for all the guys who are just starting now. You're a bit freaked out about character creation. Don't worry, you can change it whenever you want. It's fine. If you're unfamiliar with video games, Baldurs Gate 3 does not take too long to understand, which is pretty good. So if you're familiar with like movement, camera, abilities, stuff like that, you'll be fine. The only thing I can't really say anything on is the way it controls on controller, because it's on PlayStation 5, but I can't really imagine it being on controller, but apparently it's great. Look at Discourse online, apparently it's really good. I don't know, take my word for what you want it. So the basic synopsis of the game is that you wake up on a mysterious ship, and it's hosted by mind flayers, which are these creatures that have put a parasite into your brain, and the story is centered around you finding a way to extract that parasite before you turn into a mind flayer yourself. You and all your companions, the ones that I've met so far, also have mind flayers, which joins you on this quest together. So I'm going to break this up into a few categories. So I'm kind of going to start with the story. To be honest, I kind of forgot about the mind flayer end goal about an hour into the game because I was just so invested in these characters. I was just wrapped up with everything else. All the character conversations and dialogue options are just like so good.
Lae'zel has a dangerous look in her eyes. Let's just hope she reserves those impulses for any common foes.
Every single conversation is cinematic, which builds this really nice, like, built-in world to the game. I keep thinking each side mission or main mission can't top the next, but they just keep getting better and better. And the more you connect with your companions and your characters, just the better the story gets so far. Again, so far, I'm about 50 hours in. Just finished Act 1, but from what I've gathered, it's just, yeah, it's incredible. It's like actually insane the amount of, I think, attention to detail the developers have put into even the tiniest of characters. The writing feels really mature and doesn't really feel gamey. I think that's why I feel so lost, because it just doesn't feel like a game. It just feels like it's a world. It's so bizarre, and it sounds so lame of me saying that, but it's just like, this is what it is. Some of my favorite missions are the ones with the companions where they really get to shine. For instance, one of my companions, Gale, which I love, has a really interesting story regarding his origins and stuff, but I won't spoil anything. If you know, you know. Just go check it out. If you're interested in Gale, go check out Gale, I would say. But yeah, it's great. So again, the story, there's just so much to it. I think, again, I don't really want to spoil anything, but every single side quest, side mission, everything is just so well thought out and good that that if you love story games, this is literally your dream come true. Speaking of companions, I'm constantly wanting to speak to most characters all the time. I want to know what their backstory is. I want to know what they're about, what their beliefs are. I want to know everything. These characters just feel so, like, they're all so different from one another, and yet they also just feel so lived in. It feels like these characters have been in this world forever, and I'm just joining it, and I'm just joining their story and going along with them. And I'm really liking the role-playing aspect. When I started to do that, I started to realize, wow, this is like what the game is, and this is what it wants you to do. So instead of trying to make me, I then made a character that I thought, you know, would maybe have a few things like me, really, really tall and really, really cool. Just someone who, like, morals, whatever, but being able to play that character and be like, no, this character wouldn't do that, or no, they wouldn't agree with that. It's been really fun, and I didn't think I'd like that much, so that's been really fun to do. And that relates back to the companions that then I bring along on my journey. So who I have in my party is Gale, Karlek, and Lae'zel. A lot of these also, the people I bring in my party are based around combat situations as well, which I'll get into in a little bit. But all of these companions, they're all really, they're not one-dimensional at all. For instance, I actually thought Lae'zel, one of the characters, I thought she was pretty one-dimensional. I wasn't really liking her. I was like, oh, okay, she's just a moody, like, warrior. Whatever. I then had a mission with her, and she was quite involved in it, and I really found myself rooting for her and seeing where she came from and her beliefs and the things she believes in, and potentially, I can't even say, but like her realizing that maybe this isn't what I thought it was, and seeing her then on that journey, and then my choices impacting what then she does is really, really cool. And I've started to really like her, and I want her all the time now. I want her in everything. That's really cool because it's character development. You don't really get that much. Like, and it's cool because, for instance, there's been a lot of comparisons with Starfield, and I'm gonna make a few. But you know, you'll do something in Starfield, and then that'll piss the character off, and then you'll go back to them, and they'll be like, "Hey, how you going?" and like just pretend it didn't happen. Whereas in this, if you do something, they're gonna remember, and they're gonna take that 50 hours into the game, which I really like. Like, your choices matter, and I think that's what I found probably frustrating about, I used to love the Telltale games, and then when you realize at the end, it doesn't really matter what you pick. Whereas this, I really do think, I'm really interested to see the ending of this game, because I'm wondering, will my relationships with the companions change the outcome? And I don't know, and I'm kind of excited to see, and I'll probably be very disappointed if it doesn't, but I can't imagine with what they're doing so far that it wouldn't affect the outcome. The companions also have little conversations amongst themselves when we're just roaming, which is really, really cool.
For you in Baldurs Gate, Astarion. A sweetheart, perhaps?
Not one in particular. The city is a veritable feast of sweethearts.
Anyway, we'll move on to combat. The combat I feel in this game you'll either love or hate. If you like fast-paced combat, don't think you're gonna like the combat in this game at all. But I've read a couple of reviews, people saying they hate the combat, but they stay around for the story. So it really is just dependent on how much you're willing to take on board. I really like turn-based combat, so of course I love this. If you don't know what turn-based is, basically each character will take a turn during combat to take actions. These can be to move, attack, heal, jump, traverse, throw like a fire potion, and yeah, do more stuff. The enemies will then have a turn to retaliate, and then you go back and forth. I really enjoy the strategy in which you have to place your characters. For instance, you can ungroup your characters, so which means that if I'm controlling my character, everyone follows me, but if I ungroup a certain character, they will stop following me, which means then I might place a couple characters in different areas depending on if one's ranged, I might place them upstairs, or if one's this, or I'll place them a bit closer if they're close combat characters. So that kind of thought process and stuff is really cool, and I really like delving into that and thinking before I do things. You have to think about every single combat scenario. It's always good though to have a mix of close combat characters such as Lae'zel and Karlek, and then a mix of ranged like Gale, and I think that's why my party consists of that, because I'm a ranger, and then Gale's a wizard, Lae'zel's a fighter, and Karlek's a barbarian. So me and Gale are the rangers, so we will stick back and pick people off, whereas Lae'zel and Karlek will jump in a bit more and take a bit more damage than Gale and I can. My character can also summon like an animal to help me in the fight with me, which is sick. I always get the bear. You can pick between like a spider, a wolf, bear, a boar, and a few others. And I always have the bear. And it's like my little bestie. And I love him so much. Presentation of the game. So I'm playing with a 3080 and I've settings at ultra. I'm playing on a 1080p monitor, so it's not... I could get more if I wanted to. Like, I would love to get a 1440p or a 4K monitor or something like that. But for what I'm playing, it looks so pretty. So the whole of Act 1, you're set in a beautiful and lush forest with like sprawling caves and like sweeping vistas. Like, it's really foresty in nature, and it's beautiful. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear about Act 2, turn away right now. But Act 2 is in a like dark, murky underbelly with like swamps. When I think of a necromancer, this would be where they live. It feels really evil and sinister, and they both look great, and I think that jump is really cool. By the end of Act 1, I was ready for something new, and then they give you this complete new vista to explore in Act 2, which is really cool. All character models look really good. Playing this, I'm like, how the hell do I ever play another game again where the quality of the presentation of characters isn't up to this? Like, even the voice, like the movement of the mouth, like everything's just, you can tell they put so much work into making this a game that's going to run well. Yeah, it's a beautiful game. Honestly, this game is just awesome. I didn't think I would be this hooked by a game, and Baldurs Gate has really hooked me. It's like a movie or a TV show. It's just, yeah. So I'm not going to give a review because I don't really, I'm not even halfway through the game, which is crazy because like I don't think I've ever played a game for this long, and I just want to keep playing. I might do another impressions video when I get to Act 3, and then so far how I'm feeling, and with the characters it might be a bit more spoilery, but we'll see. Yeah, no, I'm loving it, and I think everyone should give this a go. Yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to. I don't know what this is doing, but subscribe here. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I love you so much. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.